The third game on my list is Skies of Arcadia. Developed by Overworks, Sega's premier RPG team, Skies of Arcadia is an incredible story of pirates, treasure, and flying ships. Flying what? Yeah, that's right. Skies of Arcadia is all about pirates who use flying ships to traverse the world of flying islands, floating on the sky instead of water. How cool is that? The reason for Skies of Arcadia's success really just lies in the refreshing storyline where the main characters are actually full of hope and dreams instead of dark and brooding like a lot of characters you see in most RPGs. The game had a really fun battle system that was split in between two types. The first one was battling foes, utilizing your party's strengths and strategizing moves in order to capture a win. The other part is a sky battle, where you pit your ship against another one, sometimes even two ships, and try to take the other one down by setting the attack several moves in advance. The world was huge, and the many different islands that you visit were unique and interesting. Each one had its own story to tell. With refreshing and fun characters, an amazing musical story, and a story that people remember for years, Skies of Arcadia is an RPG fan's dream, and a definite must-have for the Dreamcast. Number 2 on my list is Phantasy Star Online. Wait, what? An online RPG is so high on the list like this? You know what, if you were asking yourself that, then you obviously never played Phantasy Star Online. This is one of the finest online RPGs made in the day, and it created a following that lasted for many years. PSO allowed up to 4 players to jump online and travel the desolate world of Regal. The first version of PSO had 4 levels, each one drastically different from the previous. The enemies were unique and varied, and the bosses were huge, and sometimes took a lot of thought in how to take them down. The game was re-released several times, each release featuring more levels, more weapons and items, and more characters to choose from. It started with PSO, then version 2, then episodes 1 and 2, then 3 by itself, and finally ended with Blue Burst on the PC. Now unfortunately this segment is going to be a little short. I just don't have much gameplay footage outside of my buddy Fernando here, and some low quality videos I found online. Sadly enough, you just won't be able to experience the full game like you could have back then. But take it from me, Phantasy Star Online was revolutionary, the online game to experience. Ask anyone who knows, they'll tell you the same. Man, you should have been there. Now if you haven't guessed, my number 1 Dreamcast game of all time is, and you guys probably haven't been paying much attention. People talk about this game even today, mainly because it is the first game in a trilogy of games, well, a trilogy that has never really been finished. Have you guessed it yet? That's right. It's Yu Suzuki's magnum opus, Shenmue. Shenmue is a tragic tale for many Dreamcast fans. It was first heralded as, potentially the greatest RPG we'll ever see, and in many ways, Yu Suzuki, whom I was fortunate enough to meet earlier this year, realized that dream. Shenmue stars Ryo Hazuki as he tracks down his father's murderer, Lan Di. The game featured incredible graphics, even by today's standard. It was a game where you can go anywhere, do anything, opened all the cupboards, the doors. The sweeping, sorrowful soundtrack was one of the best you'd ever hear from the game. The story was superb, a murder mystery that was slow to start, but once you pick it up, there was no way you could put the controller down. Earlier I mentioned that many viewed the series as tragic, and it's true. If you're up to date on Dreamcast history, then you know that Shenmue is a series that never made it past the second. In fact, Shenmue 2 never even made it to the Dreamcast in the United States. Instead, it was ported to the Xbox, thanks to the grace of Sega fans within Microsoft. However, don't see this as a reason you shouldn't own Shenmue. Far from it. Shenmue is an excellent game in its own right, and deserves to be in any Dreamcast owner's library, especially if they're fans of RPGs.
Well, hey man, it's almost party time.
Whoops, looks like my ranting went a little too long. But the night's not over yet. We still got a lot more ahead of us. We're gonna party like it's $9.99. Oh, I got you.
I'm with Josh.
I guarantee it's her.
Sadly, I just don't have enough time to talk more about the Dreamcast. There's so much that can't be included in this short video. Perhaps someday I will talk more about the other games not mentioned, but until then, I hope I was able to do enough for the time that we had. Earlier I mentioned that the Dreamcast legacy is the games that were made for it. But after being at the party for a while, I realized that perhaps I was mistaken. The real reason why the Dreamcast has been remembered for so many years is not just the games, but the memories of all the great times that gamers have had with it. Getting together again and blasting zombies in House of the Dead 2, or finding out which guy is best with Nightmare and Soul Calibur, is really what remembering the Dreamcast is really about. Yes, the memories of playing these classic games with friends even 10 years after Dreamcast launched is really why the Dreamcast is still fondly respected today. That is why it's remembered. Maybe that is its true legacy.